Wealth building doesn't look the way you think it looks. It doesn't look like a sudden windfall. It doesn't look like a brand new car appearing in the driveway. It doesn't look like a spontaneous, envy-inducing vacation post on social media. Here's what it actually looks like. It looks like the same amount quietly leaving your account every single month, before you even see it. It looks like saying no to something you genuinely wanted, because your emergency fund isn't full yet. It looks like boring, repetitive, unglamorous, quiet discipline, repeated for years. And precisely because it's so quiet, it very often doesn't feel like progress at all. It can feel like nothing's happening. So today, I'm going to show you 13 clear signs that you are, in fact, building real wealth, even if it doesn't feel that way yet. And if you recognize yourself in most of these, I promise you are much further ahead than you think you are. So let's start with why wealth building feels so invisible in the first place, because understanding this changes everything. The reason is simple. Compound interest is almost completely imperceptible in the short term. Watch. $1,000 invested at a 7% annual return. After year one, it's $1,070. And honestly, that $70 doesn't feel like progress at all. After year 5, it's $1,403. Still not dramatic, still nothing to celebrate. But after year 20, it's $3,870. And after year 30, it's $7,612. The growth that eventually looks dramatic and life-changing was completely, frustratingly invisible for the entire first decade. And this is exactly why so many people quit their wealth-building behaviors before the compounding ever has a chance to kick in. They're doing all the right things. The graph just doesn't look impressive yet, so they assume it isn't working. If you're in that phase right now, the doing everything right but it doesn't feel like it phase, then this video was made specifically for you. Stay with me, because the recognition you're about to get matters. Let's start with the behaviors. Sign 1. You automate your savings before you ever see the money. This is the single most predictive behavior of long-term wealth building, full stop. Automation removes willpower from the equation entirely. You don't have to be disciplined every month. You were disciplined just once when you set up the transfer. Studies consistently show that people who automate accumulate 2 to 3 times more than people with identical income who save manually. This habit alone is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars over a career. Sign 2. You know your monthly spend number within $50. Not a vague estimate, a real specific number. You pull up your statements. You know what went out. Most people genuinely have no idea what they spend. You do, and that awareness is the foundation of every other financial decision you make. Sign 3. You have a 3-month emergency fund sitting untouched. It's the most unsexy structure you can build, and the most important. It's not an investment, and it won't impress anyone, but it exists to protect everything else. When your car breaks, you don't go into debt. When you lose a client, you have runway. When a medical bill lands, it doesn't derail your retirement contributions. Sign 4. You've said no to something you wanted because of a financial goal. That's harder than it sounds. Consciously trading short-term enjoyment for a defined long-term outcome is the behavioral fingerprint of wealth building, and most people never develop it. Now, let's move from behaviors to mindset, because how you think drives all of it. Sign 5. You think in years, not months. Short-term thinking optimizes for immediate comfort. Long-term thinking optimizes for outcomes. When you look at an investment, a spending choice, or a career move, and your automatic frame is, what does this look like in 5 or 10 years? You are already thinking like a wealth builder. Sign 6. A bad financial day doesn't derail your overall strategy. The market drops 8%. Your contribution scheduled for that same day quietly buys more shares at lower prices. You don't cancel it, you don't liquidate in a panic, you stay the course. And that emotional consistency is exactly what lets compound interest reach its full power. The people who built real wealth through the 2008 crash, the 2020 crash, the 2022 correction, were simply the ones who didn't flinch. Sign 7. You distinguish between assets and liabilities. An asset generates value or grows over time. A liability costs you money or depreciates. Most people proudly call things assets that are actually liabilities. A car, a boat, an expensive watch. You know the real difference.
And you make buying decisions based on which category a purchase truly falls into. Sign 8. You can delay a purchase 30 days and still want it. The 30-day rule is a natural filter. If you still genuinely want something after waiting a month, it's a considered choice rather than an impulse. And most impulse purchases simply evaporate within a week with no effort at all. Next come the systems. The structure is running quietly in the background. Sign 9. Your investments are automated and increasing. Not just automated, actually increasing. If you've built the habit of nudging your contribution percentage up a little each year, you are among the most financially sophisticated people in your entire peer group. Most people either don't invest at all, or they invest a flat amount forever and never touch it. That 1% annual increase habit, compounded across a full career, adds hundreds of thousands of dollars to your final portfolio value. Sign 10. The gap between your income and your lifestyle is widening, not closing. When your income rises, does your lifestyle rise by the exact same amount, or does a meaningful slice flow into savings and investments instead? If your lifestyle is growing slower than your income, if your savings rate is climbing over time, you are building the single most powerful financial structure available, a growing gap. The gap is the wealth lever, and yours getting wider is the sign. Sign 11. You have insurance coverage that actually matches your risk. Health insurance with adequate coverage, life insurance if you have dependents, and disability insurance, the most under-owned and most necessary protection for working-age earners. The wealthy protect their wealth because one catastrophic uninsured event can erase years of careful building in an instant. And finally, the signs of genuine freedom, the proof that the system is actually working for you. Sign 12. You can absorb a $1,000 surprise without going into debt. This is the practical baseline of real financial resilience. The Federal Reserve has reported that a significant percentage of Americans cannot absorb even a $400 unexpected expense without borrowing. So $1,000 is the threshold I use. An unexpected car repair, a medical copay, a sudden home repair. If you can handle it without a credit card carrying a balance, without a 401k loan, without having to ask anyone for help, you are in a genuine minority of Americans with true financial resilience. Sign 13. You think about your financial future at least once a month. Research on financial goal achievement consistently finds that people who regularly engage with their goals, even just reviewing them once a month, are significantly more likely to actually reach them. And to be clear, this isn't about obsessing or feeling anxious. You're simply engaged. You check your accounts, you think about your FIRE number. You adjust the plan when your circumstances change. That active engagement with your goals is by itself a real predictor of your outcomes. So let me tell you what these 13 behaviors actually add up to over 20 years, because the combined number is what matters. Start with automated savings from sign 1, 2 to 3 times more accumulated than manual saving. On $500 per month, that's a $200,000 to $300,000 difference just from automation. Add the emergency fund from sign 3, 0 debt incurred from life surprises, which over 20 years means $30,000 to $70,000 in avoided interest and fees that stayed in your pocket. Then the widening gap from sign 10. Each 1% contribution increase adds roughly $50,000 to $100,000 in final portfolio value. So 10 years of 1% annual increases stacks up to $500,000 to $1 million in additional wealth. Here's the crucial reframe. The 13 signs are not 13 separate, isolated habits. They are the architecture of a single wealth-building system. Practiced together, they compound on each other,
behaviorally, financially, and psychologically. Each one reinforces the next, which is exactly why recognizing several of them in yourself is such a powerful signal that the machine is already running.
So here's where we land. If you recognized yourself in most of these signs, then understand this clearly. You are building wealth right now. It may not feel that way yet, and the graph may not look impressive yet, but the specific behaviors that produce long-term wealth are already running quietly in the background of your life. And remember what we said at the very start. Compound interest doesn't announce itself in year 3. It shows up dramatically in year 20. And by then, every boring, repetitive, quiet decision you're making in these early years will look like the most important thing you ever did. Quiet work, loud outcome. That's the whole story.
If this gave you even a moment of recognition or reassurance, share it with someone who's doing all the right things, but feels like they're getting nowhere. They need to hear this today. Subscribe for a new video every week. I'll see you in the next one.